my channel. I hope you all are safe, well, and healthy. I am happy to be back, you guys. I am so happy to be back. I really did enjoy this video. I am so sorry if I sound nasally. I'm getting over like congestion and a head cold. Like, it was a little bad for a couple days, but I am back and I am happy. I have a new project coming soon and I hope you all can enjoy it. So I hope you all are safe, well, and healthy, and please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Alrighty guys, so let's get into it. If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Chelsea Nguyen, and it's story time here on my channel, okay? New coffee today. Oh my gosh, y'all don't know how much I miss filming. It's okay, it's ridiculous, and I am just so excited to be back. I really am. Let's get into it. No more wasting time. For today's video, I mean, as you guys can see by the thumbnail, by the title, we are going to be talking about Molly Bloom, okay? The poker princess. I have watched this movie. I've watched numerous interviews. In this video, I might be referencing this individual as Molly or as Bloom. When I call her Molly, I feel like we're friends, you know, like I know her, but I don't know her. So her game was known as the $100 million business. The buy-in to have a place at her table started at $10,000, and it eventually increased to $250,000 just to have a seat at this game, guys, okay? She sets her games up on the West Coast, and she runs those games there for 6 years, and then she eventually moved to the East Coast and she runs it here for 2 years, which, I mean, come on, I wish I was invited. But yeah, so let's learn a little bit about Miss Molly Bloom. She was born in Loveland, Colorado on April 21st, 1978, to Larry and Cher Bloom. Larry was a professor at Colorado State University, and he was also a clinical psychologist. So her mother was a professional fly fisher, and she also owned her own company. In an interview, Molly states that she believes and feels that the only thing in her life that she is not responsible for, or in a sense, not her fault, is being born in a high-achieving family. Now, you're like, huh? And I'm like, yeah, okay, let's get into this, okay? Okay, so she has 2 older brothers, okay? One was Jeremy, and the other one was Jordan. Jeremy was a 2-time Olympic freestyle skier, and he also played football for Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers, okay? Which I think that's very incredible. He was like pro, you know? And then her other brother, Jordan, was a cardiothoracic surgeon, and he graduated from Harvard Medical School, which, you know, guys, baby, couldn't be me. Could not be me. Bloom had scoliosis, okay? And so at the age of 12, she had back surgery. She had her top 11 vertebrae fused together, and they also placed 2 titanium rods to fix her problem. But this did not stop Bloom from becoming an athlete. And this is when she started skiing. Molly was an American Olympic skier in the North American Cup season, and she was ranking women mogul skiers. She was trained by her father, Larry, and she described him to be very, very, very overbearing, okay? And if my dad trained me, those would be the exact words I used. My dad taught me how to drive, and not it. She explained in interviews that her father made her and her brothers face all of their fears. He was much tougher on her because he believed that it is very difficult for women to more so succeed and to reach their goals, and she didn't want the world's perspectives and the world's opinions and her fears to get in her way to get to her goals. He was like, we're not having it. By you overcoming these fears, this is going to teach you, in a sense, I got this, I can do this. If I can overcome this, I can overcome that. If I overcame that in the past, I can overcome this now. So he tried to always have that, you know, in her mindset. So unfortunately, her career ended when she faced an injury in the Winter Olympics of 2002. So because of her injuries and the surgeries that came this incident, she was unable to ski again. So guys, that's horrible, especially if these are like one of your dreams, and it's just, that's sad. That's very, very sad. She later attended the University of Colorado at Boulder, and she graduated summa cum laude. So the start of these poker games, guys. In 2003, Bloom decided to move to LA. She wanted to take a year off before she went to law school. Now, when she moved to LA, she had to pick up a few odd jobs here and there. She was a cocktail waitress, she was a server, and so eventually she became an executive assistant to a real estate entrepreneur named Darren Feinstein. Now, many say he was a very unsuccessful real estate entrepreneur, but I mean, I don't know him personally, so I don't know. But he was also a co-owner of a nightclub located in Hollywood, and that was the Viper Room. So Bloom starts to work with Feinstein, and he gets her involved in underground poker games. Now, nothing illegal about this whatsoever, just, you know, boys night, you know, poker, let's go play. That was the whole thing, okay? Her sole job at these poker games was just to serve alcohol and appetizers. She had no idea what poker entailed, okay? She had absolutely no idea about the game poker. Nothing. She says in an interview that she picked the best outfit she had in her closet, the best one, right? At the time, she didn't have much, so, you know. She curated a CD for this event, and in an interview, she states that this so-called CD was very amateur. She really just had like basic poker game songs. I mean, I don't know. I don't know about poker, but it was very amateur, and she reflected on it after the fact. On her first night, she saw A-listers around the table, and that was not what she was expecting whatsoever. And she eventually looked at it as an opportunity. She was like, all right, how many people are my age have this grand opportunity? That's the way she saw it. A grand opportunity to, you know, be in a room with all these famous celebrities, powerful people, people with tons of money. She was like, do these A-listers, you say, that were at, you know, attending this party? Chels, who were they? Who were they? Well, guys, let me tell you. So there were people like Ben Affleck, Leonardo DiCaprio, and there were people like A-Rod. I said it, guys. I said it. These were the people that were in attendance. The only reason why these names came to light was because the individuals put their name out there, okay? We'll get into this later on in the story, but Bloom did not want to reveal anyone's identity if they didn't do it on their own. If they didn't say, hey, I was there, Bloom neither agreed or disagreed. In this whole game, there is this player, okay? And his name was Player X. And at the beginning of this, Player X wasn't really identified, you know? We'll get into Player X, you know, later in the story. He was an A-lister, okay? He was an A-lister. There were many important people in attendance to these games. There were investment bankers, sports players, there were actors, like there was, you know, the big honchos in, you know, in the game. During these games, Bloom more so learned that these players weren't in the game to make money. They weren't there for money. I mean, they were already rich. They were already celebrities. They were already making a lot of money. They were there to chase risk, to say, yeah, I won. Okay, the amount of money of that they were winning wasn't the emphasis of them being at the game, but winning, having a winning streak back to back to back was what they were looking for. So they wanted a James Bond experience. Like they wanted to be those hotshot players at the table. Okay, that was their whole. So on Bloom's first night, she made $3,000. $3,000, you guys. That's pretty sick. I mean, can I go next time? Bloom was making thousands of dollars per night just in tips from the players. And she had no knowledge about poker when this whole thing started. And she eventually came up to speed with a lot of terminologies. She came up to speed with what snacks, you know, players liked, or, you know, just certain things. She just, you know, came up to speed, and this gave her an advantage with players. She then thought, okay, how can I turn this into a business? She was looking at this as an opportunity. I mean, I would do the same thing if I was given this opportunity. I'd be like, all right, man, what can I do for myself? Going back to player X, he was the most successful player at the table. And Bloom wanted to create a trusting relationship with him in order to gain more high profile players to bring to the table. The identity of player X, I mean, was identified, and then we could say he wasn't identified. Many people believe that it was Tobey Maguire. Yeah, this guy right here. Yeah, him. Bloom states he was a horrible tipper, and he was the worst loser. Darren introduced Bloom to the game, and he knew she was making thousands of dollars per night. He wanted to gain more control over her. He told her, he was like, hey, I'm not paying you anymore for your executive assistant position. You're making thousands of dollars at night. If it wasn't for me, you wouldn't have this position. She was like, no, that's just not how it's gonna work. Like, I'm not gonna let you control me. I'm not gonna, no, you're just not gonna do that. Darren didn't like what she had to say, and he fired her. Yep, he fired her, and she was angry because she was like, all right, I am out of this game and I'm losing money. So she was obviously pissed off, angry, annoyed, all of the above, and she decided to make her own game. And she knew she was going against the boys club. Like, she was like, all right, I gotta know what I'm doing because I'm going against these big guys, right? This is where Bloom's game began. Dean's game was going on for years. This allowed her to build a contact list. This helped her with her own game. Started by renting out a penthouse at the Four Seasons, and she hires employees to assist her with running the game, okay? She contacts individuals that are employed at casinos and clubs so they could spread the word of her game. And at this time, Bloom is making crazy amounts of money. Like, she is making crazy amounts of money. Player X wants Bloom, because Player X did follow her to her game, wants her to raise the stakes of the game. Because he was such a great winner, he wanted to keep winning, and he wanted higher amounts of money. A seat at the table went from $10,000 to $50,000, okay? I'm not gonna pay for a seat at that table. I can't even afford, you know, working there, you know? She starts growing her network, and she's contacting Vegas, and she makes a deal with them and says, hey, I can send you players to your casino to play, you know, on weekends if you give me names and numbers, because she wanted to invite more people to her table. And so eventually she has a problem with this player named Player X, or Tobey Maguire. Tobey Maguire, Player X, I mean, you know, let's just blame it on him, right? So she, you know, starts to have a problem with him, and he is just becoming obsessed with this game, guys. Like, obsessed. So obsessed with this game. So he starts to stake the game. Now, this means he was giving money to another player to, you know, keep playing. Here's some more money, stay in the game, in a sense. So he was, and that's not allowed. It's not allowed. And she confronts him, and he leaves the game. Why isn't this lash staying down? Player X, or Tobey Maguire, whatever, leaves the game. She loses the entire game in LA. And this is when her game is moved to New York. Yes, ma'am. She takes the Big Apple, guys. She takes She runs, guys, she runs. When she moved to New York, she did not have any secure players to play at her table. She starts to reach out to wealthy New Yorkers, and she was looking for people on Wall Street. And in an interview, she says that she was seeking individuals on Wall Street because, you know, they like to gamble, okay? So that is where she started looking. And she was able to collect a few players to have a few weekly games. Her New York game was 5 times as big as the LA game. Now the buy-in went from $50,000 to $150,000 for 1 seat at the game. So she was very successful with these players, but she had a fear. She had a fear that she wasn't going to be able to cover the losses when the players couldn't pay. All right, so she hires a dealer to help her run the game, and he suggests to her that she should take a rake of the pot, and this would allow her to recover her potential losses. And she was having losses at the time because players were stiffing her. She registered her business as an event planner because, you know, technically, you know, she was hosting, she was planning poker event. She was reporting all of her tips as earning. Everything to this point was very legal. But now that she decides to take a rake the earnings of the players, and she was acting like a bank like Vegas would, this is where it passed the line and it became illegal. Now, she isn't just having these big weekly games, okay? She was having little events here and there. She's expanded to Miami with A-Rod. Heard that too. She knew this was becoming very dangerous. She became addicted to the rush, to the applause. She was getting addicted because she was able to put these events back to back to back to back. And she loved the praise, you know, she just loved the praise. So at this point, she was becoming very sloppy with who she was allowing at her games. Before this, she was running background checks. She had PIs look into the players. She wanted to make sure everyone at her table had a clean, more so life. She wanted to make sure they were living a clean lifestyle, because she didn't want it to then come back to her. But then she agrees that she just stopped really paying attention to those things because she was becoming greedy and she wanted more and more and more. And that is what was going on. The start of her investigation, you guys, there is this player named Bad Brad, okay? And guys, guess why they called this man Bad Brad? Just a guess, right? This man lost every game he played, and she states that he was a huge asset to the game. I mean, he came back every time, you know, he was putting down money, like he, you know, he was a big asset. Okay, so Bad Brad had a hedge fund, a huge hedge fund. He was telling his clients that he was making all this money at these poker games, and so he more so used those monies, used the money that his investors were giving him to play the game. But Bad Brad kept losing all of these games, and he lost all the money. So then eventually he was indicted for running a Ponzi scheme. She was eventually questioned to who was attending her games, and her name, because of Bad Brad, her name was on the FBI's list, okay? And during this time, Bloom was getting addicted to drugs. And the reason why she was getting addicted to drugs is because she had to stay awake for these games. And I think in an interview, she states that there was one game that went on for 3 consecutive days, just back to back to back. And so she was using these drugs to, you know, to keep her up, to keep her moving, to keep her, you know, finessing this. And players kept connecting her with other wealthy players, and individuals from the Russian mafia came in, and come to find out, they were involved in the biggest insurance fraud scheme. Since she says she has never encountered anyone in the mafia, so she had no idea these individuals were from the mafia. I mean, I wouldn't have known either. I don't know, I mean, is there like there signs you should have been looking for? I don't know. She was eventually attacked by the Italian mafia, guys. Yeah, the Italian mafia, because they proposed a business plan. They were like, hey, We can extort your players and make sure that they are paying you what they are supposed to be paying you. If they didn't pay you, we go find them. You know this business transaction. She respectfully declined, and one afternoon someone came to her house, put a gun to her mouth, and they attacked her in her own home. All right, so let's talk about when the FBI raids Bloom. Okay, how did the FBI get to know about Bloom's game? So the FBI wiretapped the Russian mafia's phone line. And this is when that insurance fraud raid happened and 125 individuals were arrested. So at one of Bloom's games, FBI arrived and Bloom had received a call from one of her poker dealers. And at this point, she knew this was the end. This was the end of her long business. She knew it was gonna happen. She was just more so waiting for it to happen, and she gave herself a little break. This is when the FBI raids her. All of her assets were seized, and the only reason why she knew her assets were seized was because she was planning a trip to go see her family in Colorado, and she tried to book a flight and she was declined, of course, and she had about $9 million in her bank account. So everything was in the red, it was in the negative. She was indicted for running an illegal gambling operation with the mob. She contacted a lawyer, and all the feds want, right? All they want is for her to give all the information she knows, and she will get her money back. They were like, hey, if you give us all the names to the individuals that attended your game, we will give you your money back. Easy as that. You can go on with your life and just, you know, give us the names. Just give us the names and we'll go on with our day, right? And she was like, nope, not happening. After the whole feds situation, right? 2 years later, she was given the opportunity to write a book. And at this time, she was working in LA. She was working for a production company. And this is when 17 FBI agents are at her doorstep. This is when they come to her doorstep. Jim Walden took her case, and he believed that she did not commit any serious crimes, and he believed she did not need to receive a prison sentence. And so he took her case, and she did not have the $250,000 that she needed to, you know, pay that retainer. But he was like, you know what, I got you. You got the money somewhere. You can pay me later, you know? So when they went to court, he said, okay, I want no sentence. I want her money back. And in return, we will give you hard drives and digital records from the gambling operation. Bloom did not want to go through with this deal. She was like, nope, I don't want to do it. She didn't want the information to come out to negatively affect the individuals. It was none of their faults that she got caught. Everything was running smoothly. Everything was running legally until she started raking it. So she didn't want anyone to get in trouble. She decided to plead guilty, and the judge decided that she did not commit any serious crimes. She was sentenced to 200 hours of community service, a $250,000 fine. $250,000 fine, guys. Bloom states that the only reason she was saving and protecting was because she was doing it for her name. Not for anyone else, but for her name. And she didn't want to tarnish her name. That was the only thing she had left. She felt like it was her responsibility to take the blame, to take the fault, because everyone else was just there to play the game. That was it. And then once she started taking that rake, that's when it became illegal. She never got her $9 million back, but she still had to pay taxes on ads. What do you guys think of that? If I had to give $9 million up and I had to pay taxes, I don't know what I would do. I would like cry or something. Like, so what do you guys think about this story? I enjoyed it. I think I went a little too fast at the end, but my battery was dying, so I had to recharge it. I hope we still look good. So guys, what do you guys think about the story? I really did enjoy it. Like, I think this girl is incredible. I mean, she ran this game for 8 years, made millions of dollars, stole this game from a man, y'all, and she made it better than his. Guys, kudos to her. So please leave your comments below, guys. Tell me what you guys think about this video. I am happy to be back, and I hope you all enjoy it. And please don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Bye.